It's Miss Tanya, Daycare Chronicles 101, and welcome to the podcast. And you know what, you guys? I have a guest host today. Oh, yes, I do. I have Miss Shannon. She's an employee of DCFS. She was a previous preschool teacher. She's a mother of two. And so, with that being said, Miss Shannon, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Happy to be here.
Yes, just a little bit of your expertise.
Well, so a little bit about me. I worked in childcare in preschools for about 10 years. I worked special ed and I worked regular ed, and then I moved on from that, and now I'm working with DCFS.
So what made you make that transition?
Well, I was looking to get out of it, but I did not know which direction I wanted to go in. And we had a layoff, and I saw it as an opportunity instead of, something bad.
Okay.
And I just finished up getting my degree, and I decided to apply with DCFS.
All right then. Yes, ma'am. As family daycare providers, unfortunately, we are seeing a large amount of children that are coming from the DCFS system.
Yes.
They're with relatives, they're with an aunt, or they're with an uncle, or
Absolutely.
They're with the grandparents who may be, in their 70s.
Right.
What is going on?
Meth. Meth
wow.
is what's going on. Meth is the drug of choice right now. In the 80s it was crack cocaine.
Right.
In the black community, and now meth is it.
Wow.
And we're seeing a lot of parents on meth, which is it's much stronger than what cocaine was doing to people, what crack was doing to people.
Really?
Yes. And that mixed with, we're seeing a lot of mental health issues.
Yes.
That, are maybe undiagnosed. People don't know that they have them. It's maybe mild, and then with that introduction of meth, it enhances everything.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. As a provider that I personally have 3 families that are in the system. And so they're with relatives. And I noticed that some of the children come, they have behavioral problems. As a provider, what advice would you give us to act like a backdrop on the children? Because when we get the phone call, it's just, hey, I'm just calling to see if you have a spot. May I come in to orientation? And that's it. Like, you get no other information about this child.
Right. Oftentimes, the caregiver, whether it's relative or a foster parent, they don't know what's going on. We place these kids with family, or even, like I said, with foster parents, and they don't know. They don't know what to expect.
Wow.
They don't know what they're getting. And oftentimes we don't know what we're getting. So we have kids that come in, and you may read the backstory. A lot of the parents were in the system themselves. And they, we get these cases, but
Goodness.
We don't know what to expect. So we can't tell them, so they can't tell you.
Got it. Yeah.
We have to kind of take it a day at a time. And when the caregiver or the relative comes and tells us, this is what we're seeing, then we kind of work with it from there.
So there is a support system for the caregiver.
Sometimes, depending on if the caregiver is willing to take certain supports.
Okay.
And everything has a time frame. So, even though, yes, there are supports out there, a lot of the time it takes forever. Honestly, it takes a long time to get things to get the ball rolling.
It's just the red tape of it all.
A lot of policy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of policy, and then a lot of hands in the pot. As a social worker myself, a caregiver or a relative calls me and says, we need X, Y, and Z. I put in the form or the request, and then my supervisor has to approve it. And then it goes to someone else, and then it goes to someone else before it finally makes it to the person that's going to help.
It's a cycle.
It is.
A long cycle, it sounds like.
Very long.
Wow. So as providers, is there anything that DCFS will offer to the providers? If the provider, because we're the ones that's that are with the children most of the day.
Right.
Is there anything that's offered that we can call? Is there a helpline or anything that we can call as providers?
In my experience over the last 4.5 years, I've never had a provider actually reach out to me. I'm usually the one that reaches out to them. I will go and see the child in the daycare. We're not supposed to do that all the time, but because we want to make sure they're safe in the home that they're in.
Yes.
But to kind of see what's going on with the child outside of the home, because kids act different when they're not in the home with whoever.
Absolutely, I agree.
And so sometimes I'll step out and see how the child is doing, but I've never had a provider say, I need this assistance, I need something for this child because we're struggling here, and here.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I understand that. It's just stressful sometimes as a provider because you have this child and you want to give the child the best care that you can. And if it's not offered, or even if the caregiver is kind of like pushing it to the side, a lot of times it's that way, to where the caregiver just doesn't want to, I don't want to have to go take another class, or I don't want to have to go, do this. Right. So it's just the providers, trying to come up with something. It's funny that you bring that up because providers don't give this much. Honestly, I think that they kind of go through the motions with the kids. They, you're here, I'm going to watch you, I'm going to feed you, I'm going to make sure you're okay. If there's anything going on, they reach out to the relatives or the foster parents, and that's kind of where it ends. They don't, 9 times out of 10, they don't always know what the child's situation is. Right. Yeah. We don't.
And
we don't.
Technically, foster parents and care family, they don't have to disclose that. So, although it would be helpful, but they don't have to disclose that information.
Got it. What advice would you give to a provider as far as, I know that sensory is really good for children who may have had trauma or maybe on the spectrum or things like that.
Right.
So what type of activities during the daycare would you, suggest to a daycare provider?
I would largely say it depends on the child and what they're seeking. Weighted vests are a nice thing to have in a center because, if you see a child who is kind of busy and, you might think, oh, they're all over the place, they may be needing that pressure to kind of settle their nerves.
Okay.
So that's a good sensory piece. And then the digging in the dirt, that,
yes,
playing in the dirt and digging in the rocks.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the feeling of that dirt in their hands, or even the rocks, because it's not a smooth surface, it helps out wherever they're needing it.
Yeah. Since I have put in the little construction area, the children love it. I thought it would just be like for the boys. The girls love it. And I noticed that when they're over there, they're very calm. The children are calm. They have their dump trucks, and they have their shovels, and they're just having a good time together. And it really calms them. So I didn't even realize what I was doing with that. I just thought, we'll let the boys have a little construction site. But I realized that sometimes when we need to bring it down a notch, we'll go over there, and let them do that.
I think that they're not being fed any information. They're just kind of, they're doing their own thing. They're focused. They're, I'm looking for the best words for it, but they're able to kind of focus and problem solve, figure things out for themselves.
Yes.
How am I going to move this? And like I said, they're not sitting there just taking in information.
So they definitely are using their brain.
Yes.
Definitely doing that. And I noticed that when they are in that area, it's more of a solitary, like they want to be by themselves
a lot of the time,
doing what they're doing there. They don't want another child to intervene in their play at that time. I know that Bubbles is absolutely a good one too. I enjoy Bubbles.
Bubbles too.
A little trick to Bubbles providers: you add a little bit of vegetable glycerin in there, and it will give it a very iridescent color. And the children love to see those colors coming out in the balloons. In the Bubbles. It's just a really good thing for them. It calms them too. Another thing that. How do you feel about the kinetic sand?
Okay, so as a mother,
yes, ma'am,
I I don't care for it because it makes such a mess. But I know that, with mine, she likes that sensory.
Yes,
Even
yes.
now, as old as she is, she still
Yeah.
likes that. So it's great. It's wonderful. That the kinetic rock, the kinetic sand,
Mm-hmm.
slime.
Oh, yes.
That's
Yeah.
the big thing.
It's something with that slime.
It's the sound that it makes when it
Mhm.
crackles. It's the feeling in your hand. It's sticky. It's got all of these things going on, and just squeezing it. Same thing with the kinetic sand. When there's something about that
Mhm.
squeezing it, it calms whatever
Yeah.
is
Yes.
off balance at the time.
I know that the last few packs of kinetic sand that I got, they were at Sam's Club. Shout out to Sam's Club. Sam's Club's had them in there, and it had little activities to go along with it, little toys or whatnot. And also, of course, Amazon.
Right.
Amazon has everything.
Yeah.
So the kinetic sand definitely is a winner. For providers, I like to put it in a tub or a little plastic basin with the lid on it. And so that helps to kind of contain it. And it's more of an outside thing, but you can always put a sheet or a towel down or a blanket down and just let them go at it and just see their creativity there.
Let me say this. I prefer kinetic sand over kinetic rock because when your hand gets warm, that kinetic rock sticks to you.
Oh, okay.
So I take the
Okay.
kinetic sand over the kinetic rock, and
Okay.
then the kinetic rock, you can't get it off.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
Another good thing, water beads.
oh, yes.
Those are the best things ever.
Yes. Those are the ones you put in the water
And watch 'em grow.
And watch them grow.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
And they're kind of slimy feeling.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The older children really like to do those that
Yeah.
were in elementary school. I was shocked.
Put those over in a balloon and
Oh,
let them
wow.
squeeze them. Yeah, sensory ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mhm.
Put it in a balloon.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm not going to have to try that
Yeah,
one
that-
right there. I like that
one's
idea.
good. That one's good.
Absolutely. Your experience as a preschool teacher, what age did you deal with?
We dealt with, they were 2 to 5 years, 9 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it kind of like with family daycare how we have the age groups together, or were they like in separate classrooms to where you were able to do, well, this is what a 2-year-old is going to do, this is what a 3-year-old or 4-year-old?
So the last preschool I worked with, we actually started out with them together. And the idea behind it was the little ones would learn from the older ones.
Yes.
As time went on, it was just too hard because there's certain things that the older ones could do that the little ones just couldn't do. It was just too advanced for them. And so we separated them out, and we were together, and then we would separate, and it was a Reggio inspired preschool, so we did a lot of outdoor time. And so the kids would be outside together, and you would actually see the older ones gravitating towards the little ones, helping them,
Oh, well, that was a good thing there.
making different things, building different, showing them how to do things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that absolutely is a wonderful thing. I know that in family daycare, when you get to a child being a little older, like 5 and older, their interest isn't so much into the smaller ones. But
Right.
typically, like between 2 and 5, they can pretty much play together. And like I have noticed what you said as well. What I do notice is that I may buy something and say, oh, well, this is like a race car set for the boys. Then I have to end up going to buy one for the girls because the girls want to do the same thing that the boys
Yeah.
are doing. I have 2 workbenches because the girls took over the workbenches, like 2 train tables.
Right.
It's just funny. Like there's just no limitations on who's going to gravitate to what.
And you never know. You never know.
Right. Nurture what you see. That's what I say.
Yes.
Nurture what you see.
Absolutely, I agree.
At this point in the podcast, this is where Miss Tanya will give you a healthy snack tip. And one of the things that I love to make is like a 7-layer dip for the children. And Smart and Final has a little clear, 3 or 5 ounce cups. Children like what they see. When they see something, it stimulates them, and they're like, oh, they can see the colors and all of that, and that will entice them to kind of at least taste it, if they don't want to eat the whole thing. So make your 7-layer dip, put it in the little plastic cup, add a little dabble of avocado on top, and then you can also take your tortilla chips and have them around it, so then they could just scoop it with their tortilla chips. And of course, you know, Miss Tanya, I love my Vitamix. Shout out to Vitamix. Make you a smoothie. Shannon knows when I kept her daughter, because her children were in my daycare, I would have my Vitamix going and I would make smoothies. Just a little bit of apple juice, frozen fruit. That's all you need. No ice, because the ice makes it watery.
Yeah.
That's all you need. So that was our healthy snack tip. One other thing that daycare that I'm seeing now with the daycare providers are, I had a caregiver who became overwhelmed with caring for, they were her nieces and nephews.
Right.
So she became so overwhelmed with this that she almost came to the point where she had to give them back, and another family member stepped up.
Yeah.
So are you seeing that a lot?
All the time. It's called a 7-day notice, and that's all they have to give us. Call you up.
Wow.
I can't do this anymore because of I'm not getting the childcare when I need it. Services haven't come through. The kids are out of hand. I have a job that I cannot keep missing, and little Johnny is out of control, and I don't know what to do. And not just from family, but from the foster parents as well. I think family will stick in there a little bit longer, just because it is family.
Yeah.
So they don't want to give up on the kids. But, you know, a lot of times people rearrange their lives to take in a sister's kids or their cousin's kids. And when I say rearrange their lives, I mean there's a rule. Every foster child has to be in a bed. So I've had family members give up their bedroom, sleep on the couch, sleep on an air mattress. You know, so those kids will have a place to go with someone that they know. You know, they can remain with family. They can, you know, they don't have to be in a weird foster home.
Yes.
And so they're literally rearranging their lives. You know, maybe adult children are still at home. Those adult children are moving into the living room so that these kids can have separate bedrooms depending on the ages. It's so yes, they're super overwhelmed because they're missing days of work. But I like to let my families know what they can do. If you get a foster child as a family member, you can take the family
FMLA.
Yeah, the FMLA.
Okay.
Right. So and there's 6 weeks of that. And you don't have to take it all at one time.
Okay.
The state allows you to take that. So, you know, if you have to take a week here and there because there's, you know, all these service providers coming into your home.
Yes.
And sometimes there will be a lot. You've got regional center, you've got the individual therapist. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, you know, the family will monitor visits for whoever, for the child and the parent.
Okay.
There's
so if not, then you would have to monitor the visits. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not my most favorite thing to do.
Oh,
I mean, because I don't just have that one family.
Yes, I got you.
26 kids on my caseload.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a large caseload.
It's a large caseload, and everybody needs. And the court that's another thing. Can we say that?
Yes.
The court are the ones making the judgments. I'm just the one who goes back. I'm the messenger.
Yes.
I'm enforcing it. So don't think for a minute that your social worker says, you know, you have to do X, Y, and Z. It's coming from the social worker. No, I'm following the court order.
Do you ever need security while you're out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. If I don't feel safe, I'll take a coworker with me, preferably a male, depending on the situation. You know, you run into, you have to see these parents. It's not just the kids.
Yes.
And if it's a DV situation, and not just men hitting on women.
DV is
domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
So, you know, it's not just the men hitting on the women. Some of these women they're hot tempered.
Okay.
And they're ready to fight. And, you know, I'm the one that they see. You took my kids, even though I'm not the one that goes out and takes their kids.
Yes, you're just the messenger.
I'm the face of the department. So you took my kids. Yeah, there are a lot of different situations.
Wow, well, bless your heart, because that's a whole lot right there that you just said. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So these poor children, they're just going through so much.
They are.
I couldn't imagine having them placed somewhere, and then the provider's like, the caregiver's like, well, I can't do it, and then within 7 days they're placed somewhere else. And that's just a cycle.
Not necessarily a foster home or with other family or with family. Sometimes we have transitional shelter care, and it's like it's a big group home, because we're doing away with the group homes.
Okay.
We don't want to do the group homes, but they're like big, almost like big group homes, and there's random kids in a room, and they try to keep the ages together, but based on how many beds they have, we're inundated with kids who don't have a place to go.
Wow.
And those kids may be there a week, 2 weeks, depending on their behaviors.
This is an epidemic.
It is. It absolutely is.
This, I just know from my experience being a provider in the 3 families that I have here now, but they just keep coming and coming and coming, and I'm just like,
Absolutely.
Wow.
And like I said, depending on behaviors, you might not find a placement, because nobody wants to deal with,
so sad.
You have sexual behaviors
Yes.
in a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
No one wants to deal with that,
Yeah.
especially if you have other children in the home.
Right.
Your own children, because you're family, or other foster kids who you have to keep safe.
Right.
So you don't want to take certain chances.
Wow, this is major. I'm gonna have you come back on, and we're gonna have to talk some more
Absolutely.
about because this is
Absolutely.
I hope you all are getting this, because this is some good stuff right here. Things that I didn't even know. And we think about the children that we care for. As providers, we want to give them the best of us, of what we have to give to them, of what we have to offer. And a lot of times it's difficult as providers, because you have other children that are there, and you don't just have the time to cater to one child.
Right, absolutely.
So they're in this group, and thank God that it's a smaller setting than being in a center.
Right.
At least they're able to get a little more of the one-on-one there, and you're able to really see and watch and know. They're not just lost in the crowd.
Right.
No, at
because
all.
oftentimes in the preschools, unless there is a behavior that just stands out, they do get lost. They do. They absolutely do. If they're, quiet, and you just think, oh, well, they're one of the good kids.
Right.
Because they're not jumping around and making any noise, but it could be something more to it. So, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I had a client one time. She was a new client, and the child had been here maybe just 2 days, and she called me crying, and she was like, the son, who was 4, described to her in detail that the father had molested him in the bathtub. And I would just never forget that. It was just devastating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, there's social worker. She called the police. All those things happened. The father wasn't allowed around. I don't know what happened to the end of that, because the child ended up leaving after a while. She couldn't work anymore. It was just too much mentally for her.
Yeah.
But that was just really, really. just to get that call, I can't even imagine being his mother getting that call.
Right. Absolutely. And so if you can even imagine some of the reports that I read about the things that have gone on. And some of these kids have been in the system all of their lives. You go back and you're looking through pictures, and it's like, that picture was taken in the DCFS office.
Wow.
And now this child is 15 or 16 years old, has never been adopted, and at that point, sometimes they don't even want to be adopted. Because
they're almost ready to opt out, huh?
Well, sometimes they just don't want the heartbreak.
Wow.
Because maybe there was a prospective adopted parent who was gonna go through with it, and then decided, no, I changed my mind. But I'll do legal guardianship, or I'll just foster you.
I got you.
But that's a lot.
Yes.
My mother couldn't take care of me, or didn't want to take care of me. Father may not be around, or again couldn't or wouldn't. I didn't have any family, and now I've been through so many foster homes. I've seen cases where kids have been through more than 20 foster homes. That's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, that really, really
there's
is right there.
There's something deeper going on. It's not just the child and what they're dealing with at that moment.
Yes.
There's so much more to it.
Yes. As providers, I take my hat off to those of us that are providers, because we deal with so much. We don't know what personality we're going to get. We don't know who you're going to be today, who you're going to be in the next hour. Like, we just don't know. Sometimes you have children that just break out and cry. You're like, what are you crying for? And they can't even express it or say it to you.
Right. And there's a lot of PTSD. There's a lot. You know,
in children.
In babies. You would be amazed at some of the things that I see with babies. Babies. You know, if there was domestic violence while the mother was pregnant, that baby cries all the time. You know, that baby shudders when you come there. It's like, but you weren't even here. How do you know?
Well, they say that whatever the mother is feeling while she's pregnant, everything goes into that unborn child.
Absolutely is true. Absolutely.
A baby, an infant with PTSD.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Absolutely.
This is some good stuff right here. This is some good. We're going to bring this mood on up right now. Miss Tanya getting teary-eyed over here. Look, no, go ahead on one more thing.
But what I was going to say, to answer your original question of what daycare providers can do, keep that open line of communication with the caregiver, whether it's foster or relative, and ask them, you know, can I reach out to the social worker? Like I told you, I haven't had anyone reach out to me. Ask, you know, let them know, and the social worker should also let them know, we can't give you certain information.
Right.
But if we can give you enough information to help for the child,
yes,
to guide you in the direction to better help that child, then we've done something. You've done something.
Got it. Yes. My grandmother would say a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Absolutely.
So if you don't ask, then you don't know.
Right.
So this week, you all, one of my chronicles was about a child whose backpack smelled like the most infamous marijuana weed that's legal today in the state of California. So I just want to go a little deeper into that. I made a big funny thing about it, you know, with the chronicle or whatnot, but it was true. It was real. I just want y'all to know that. And so I go to change this child's clothes, go to the backpack. I open the backpack up, and like I said, you would have thought you was in a Snoop Dogg video.
That's ridiculous.
I couldn't even change the child's clothes because everything smelled just like the weed. And I was just like, are you serious? First of all, why is your baby's backpack doubling as your purse on the weekend?
Right.
This is early Monday morning. Like, no, that is not okay.
No, it's not acceptable.
And the parent, when they called, they were like so embarrassed. I was like, yeah, your weed is in there. Like, you even called me to see.
Right.
So you know where your baby's backpack is now? It's outside on the back porch. That's where that backpack went.
Yeah.
I just could not believe it at all whatsoever. Like, who does that?
Right. Absolutely.
That is not okay. Which means you smoking weed with your child right there with you. If it's in the backpack.
More than likely, yeah. But it's legal.
Yeah, it's legal, but even though it may be legal, there's still, I mean, you just got to have some common sense here. You cannot be high.
Sense isn't common. That's the problem.
Sense isn't common.
No, not everyone has it, clearly, right?
If the police pull you over and you are high, you gonna get a ticket or go to jail or something. You can't just, you're intoxicated. You know? Like, that is not okay.
Right. But where's your integrity as a parent? Where is that?
Yeah.
You know.
I had to turn a parent away who came to pick up their child. I was like, he's not leaving with you. Let me call somebody else on this. Who you want me to call?
Right.
Because you too high, and this is not going to happen. Like, we must do better as parents, as caregivers. And, you know, as mothers, we need to be mother bears to our children. We really, really do. Have you all ever seen a mother bear? Have you ever seen any animal that is a mother try to protect their baby?
Yes.
Okay, I was watching Discovery Channel, and the lion was trying to get the little baby gazelle, and that mama stood up. Of course, you know what happened, but she was fighting for that baby.
But you know what? I always say it's not the fight in the dog in the fight. It's the fight in the dog.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out with some scratches.
Right.
But you will have known. You'll know that somebody else was in a fight.
Right. This is just, this marijuana thing in California is just crazy.
Yeah, no, you have
like,
to protect our
you're
babies.
driving down the street and it's just all in your car. You're like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah.
Someone next to the car next to you. You know,
Right.
It's like, wow. But to have a child in daycare and to open up their backpack and you just know Snoop finna pop out somewhere. Like, where's Snoop at? Okay, am I in a video? What am I being punked? What is really going on?
Yeah.
You know, that is just not okay. So that was just one of the chronicles that I did this week. Another one that I have done was about the family who wanted to go on a field trip. So I was like, the mom and dad want to go on a field trip with us. I said, okay, no problem. So they said, we'll meet you at the park. We get to the park. They got a family reunion. They done brought everybody. They got a tent up, their barbecue pit. They got all the... I just like a block party. I was like, hey, I don't know them.
Right.
They cannot be around my daycare children.
No.
So I'm going to let y'all have this over here. We're going to move down a little bit.
Absolutely.
And if you want your child to stay with you, that's fine, or the child can come with us. But we are not having this. I don't know who these people are.
No.
Like, that. This is not your family reunion.
No.
Like,
What?
I could not even believe that. They had set it up, had it going on before we got there. I'm like, under no circumstances or I'm going to have my daycare children over here. I don't even know not one of these people besides y'all two.
The weirdest thing.
Yeah, that is weird.
I think I've ever heard.
They were so excited that the children were coming. No, y'all not about to play with my children. No.
No. Everybody needs to be fingerprinted. Everybody needs to be fingerprinted.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah. Some of these parents daycare is never a dull moment, and you know that from working at the school and then from experiencing daycare yourself.
But I think it's different when they are coming into your house. You know what I mean? It's I can leave that center. You're always here.
Right. Yeah.
I can go home.
Yeah.
You are home. So
right.
I think, and you have to be more careful about who you let come in because of that.
Yes.
You know, these people know where you live.
Trust me, once you get licensed, you are on Yellow Pages, you are on Google, you are on Yelp. Scary. It just happens. And I have had so many experiences where people will Google, and if you Google, you can see the house, you can see the address, you put the address up, everything.
Right.
People will pop up at the door. And I am very security-minded about my children.
Right.
So you need to make a phone call and get an orientation. Here's my card. Well, can I come in now? No, you cannot. I don't know who you are. Right. You need to. I may not even be able to meet your need. So there's a list of questions that I need to ask you.
Right.
And we need to set up an appropriate time with you and your child to come back.
Absolutely.
But people will just pop up at the door. The whole family be standing outside.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
It's very, very, but this is the world that we're in now. This is definitely the world that we're in now. And I just want to give a shout out to Melissa and Doug.
They're awesome.
I love Melissa and Doug.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. I have so many things that are Melissa and Doug.
Uh-huh.
Melissa and Doug is adorable. It's sturdy. It's colorful.
Yeah.
The children love it. I love it. It's long lasting.
It is.
Melissa and Doug has the cutest bubble wand set.
They
so cute. Oh my goodness. And I end up Home Goods. Home Goods had them.
They do.
Yes. Home Goods is thebomb.com. Absolutely. Did I still say that? I don't know. But Home Goods is the bomb. For toys, Home Goods is good for everything. But when I go in there, I first place I go is to the toy section because they are Melissa and Doug heaven.
They have everything. They do. And you know what? Ryan has a dollhouse still from them that she's had.
Wow.
Forever. I love that dollhouse. She doesn't play with it as much.
Yeah, she's a little
but,
older now.
But she has the dollhouse. We have the sticker books. And I love the sticker books because they're the vinyl stickers.
Yes.
So you can re-stick them.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
You peel them off.
Melissa and Doug has everything. I love their little caddy, their little cleaning caddy. It is so cute.
It's cute.
The children love it.
It's simple.
Yes.
It's simple.
It's
I
so
like
simple.
That. I love the simplicity of Melissa and Doug.
Kohl's sells some Melissa and Doug stuff too, but you'll get it cheaper at Home Goods, of course.
Even Marshall's.
Yes,
and
they
Ross.
do. Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, they do have it. So just a little note out there to parents as well as providers. Go to Home Goods. Don't just look for yourself. Go to that toy section. And if you have pets, Home Goods is the place for pets too.
They have a lot of pet stuff, yeah.
One of the things that I have in our outdoor mud kitchen is they have the little doggy bowls, the little water bowls. Well, I use those in our little mud kitchen set. Yeah. And the children love it. They throw the rocks in there. They can hear them shaking and all of that.
And can I just say, from the standpoint of a former preschool teacher, it doesn't have to stop when the kids come home.
That's right.
Don't stop that sensory.
Oh, that's right.
I know that not everybody has a backyard maybe, but
right.
you can create a space for these kids to have fun and play and
that's right.
You know, not make a huge mess.
Right.
I made my own sensory tables out of PVC pipes.
Oh yeah.
And the
well,
just
you're
some
creative
plastic
like
container.
that.
Yeah. So
yes.
those water beads that I was talking about
yes.
earlier, me and my mother, I always
yes.
get her into trouble.
Yes.
We made some sensory tables last year out of PVC pipes, and we got the plastic containers with the lids
yes.
that have the little handles that lock on there.
Yeah.
Put the water beads in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that you all have enjoyed this podcast. I have had a wonderful time here with Miss Shannon.
I have too. Thank you.
She is family. She is a former client, and she's just the bomb.com.
Thank you.
She has shared so much knowledge and understanding of the system. Yeah. Things that, you know, I didn't know, and I'm sure some of you didn't know at all. So thank you so much. And remember, if you don't want to be a chronicle, then don't do it.